ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure to be here and present you Sports Club for Health program, which is actually, or was a Finnish initiative, but has grown into a much larger European-wide network. And during my presentation, I would like you to think, how could you be part of Sports Club for Health program? Because it's meant to be a program that you can take bits and parts which suits you the best. So that's my wish for you. And Anders said that she cannot pronounce my name. My last name is Laalo Haikio, and I'm representing Finnish Sport for All Association. And I'm the manager of Sport for All and the sport clubs in our association. And we are working close together with the Finnish sports federations and also the district federations. So in the Finnish context, we use Sports Club for Health program in the whole variety of different settings in Finland. The background of Sports Club for Health. We actually started in 2008 to build up the first guidelines for Sports Club for Health. And the first guidelines were published in 2009, but being frank, they were way too difficult for grassroots local sport clubs. And that's why we decided that we wanted to apply for funding from the EUDG Education and Culture, and we actually received funding from the first preliminary actions in 2010. And that gave us the opportunity to start really developing the guidelines in Sport Club for Health program. At the same time, in 2009, Sports Club for Health was selected as a working program under HEPA Europe network, which is a WHO Europe network for health-enhancing physical activity. So these all went hand in hand, how we wanted to be part of the sports world and also the HEPA network. The aims of the EU project were actually that we can have the guidelines which will work in grassroots level. We did not want to have a booklet or guidelines which will then stay in the bookshelf and okay, we did a great job, but nothing happened. That's not our intention. And that's why we have been building up also the network, and the other aim was in that project that we will build up a network in Europe which focuses on sport clubs and also the health-enhancing physical activity work in the sport clubs. Like Anders was saying, that we had partners in this project, as all the European Union projects do have, and I see some of them at least are present in SPORTVISION. I would like to thank all of our partners, they were excellent, and also the international networking partners. There's Tafisa, ENGSO, ISCA, HEPA Europe, and EFCS, who are all present here at some point. And we really we made the project really work in a European level. I would like to address that the Sports Club for Health program is focused on civic organizations, voluntary-based sport clubs, which many of the European countries have in their sport system. Not all, but many. But when we develop the guidelines, we always have to make sure that the people normally who are using the guidelines are voluntary-based people. We cannot have evaluation and research and this and that. We have to give the guidelines which would actually work in the normal sport club. And we use the settings-based approach. We think of a sport club as a place to promote health, but through their own sporting activities. The idea is not that sport clubs start to do something else than what they love to do. They do their sport, and they promote health through their sport. And that's why I was really, really happy to hear and sit in the previous session and hear about this excellent case about football. It's something what suits exactly the Sports Club for Health guidelines, how to build up health-enhancing physical activity programs in sport clubs. So, and I would like to thank the university who is doing excellent research to also build up the sport for all and health-enhancing effects of different sport disciplines. As I said, we did not want to just have a book. We want these guidelines to work in the local level. That's why we had a very tight cooperation between the practitioners, the scientists, and also policymakers. And we kind of have to take into consideration all those aspects. And that's how do we build up these guidelines so that they would help all of these stakeholders and people who are working in the sport hubs, and also how to get people moving more in the local sport hubs. As we all know, the sport clubs and the civic organizations also have some kind of pressure from the policymakers that we have to make a stand also for health promoting activities. And this is one thing what we wanted to address with this Sports Club for Health program. And at the time, or I feel at the moment, maybe, that the challenge is that we know that we should do health-enhancing physical activities in the sports world. But do we actually do it? Do we take the next step to actually start building something like the football case? And at least I have noticed that some sport people think that, okay, it stands in our strategy, it's enough. It's not enough. We have to, just like in the previous session, just do it. Take the next step and make people moving more. And this is what Sport Club for Health guidelines are supposed to do. The guidelines are evidence-based. They are based on health-enhancing physical activity promotion guidelines, which were first built by Charlie Foster in 2000, and then they have been put into the sport club setting. And this is why we have a framework which we see that how the building up of health-oriented sports activities in a sport club should go. And the main four elements are that you have to understand the concepts and the terminology. What do we mean by HEPA? What is exercise? What is sport? The world of terminology around sport has turned around like in the past 10 years or so. It used to be sports and that was it, but now it's much more. And we have to keep in mind what do we mean by this word in a sport club. One main thing in the Sports Club for Health program is that we have to understand the health effects of different sports. Not all sports have the same health effects, as we saw, for example, in the research from football. And once we know the different health effects from different sport disciplines, then we can modify the sport and maybe add quality into the practices and into the training so that we would get more health effects. If somebody is more cardiovascular oriented, then they can add something there which is more muscle and motor skills-based exercises. And that's one very important effect in this Sports Club for Health program. But the quite difficult thing is that we know that sport club activities have also social and mental effects for the person who is attending the sport club. So that's why a sport club also gives this social capital for the people who are actually attending the trainings and the sport club sessions. And the last basic element is that we have to understand that sport club and the people who are working there, they are basically voluntary and they live for their sport or love their sport, and that's their choice. If they want to start health promoting activities, then they are enthusiastic about it, but that's their free choice. We cannot push anybody. And once you have those four basic elements kind of understood, then you can start thinking about sports organization as a health, that they have some kind of health orientation. After that, they can start building up then more specific programs according to the guidelines. We have been hearing a lot about the problems we have in the societies at the moment. And we all know that the physical activity levels are decreasing. And but the good thing is for the sports world that the last physical activity guidelines addressed the importance of vigorous physical activity, and also brought along the muscle strength and the coordination and all that, which is especially seen in the different sport disciplines. So that's one thing what we have tried to brought up and build up in the Sports Club for Health guidelines. In many countries, there's a huge network of sport clubs. If we could have one step in each sport club to promote health and have more healthier activities, it would be a huge step for the whole sports world. So that's why in many countries the sport clubs are the cornerstones, and if we can get them along, then we will have and see results. And the health benefits of sports have not really been used as we could. Maybe it's that the sports world hasn't really started to really push these kinds of programs. And it's our way of being socially responsible also for the societal issues. And actually, for many sport clubs, this health promotion and lifelong physical activity is a good way to enhance the culture of a sport, which means that there can be 4 generations in a sport club doing orienteering or playing football, and they all love the same sport. So that builds up also the culture of the sport. Why we focused on sport clubs and what is important when we focus on sport club is that we have to understand the health perspective in a club context. That means that the people who are active in the club, they love their sport. Health is not the thing why they are in the sport, not at least in the main cases. So we have to bring, we have to understand that the sport is the main, the biggest thing, and then we have to bring the health aspect into that. And we see that sport club can do health promotion in 3 different levels. The first one is sports promotion, promoting their own sport, having good exercises, good quality exercises and practices for that group. The second level is that they can have HEPA activities, which means that they start up groups for people who have done, for example, played football 20 years ago and they want to return back, so they have to start in a lower pace, and they start to build up different activities for people who need a bit of specific advice and instructions. And the third level is if a club is ready, then they can start a bigger health promotion program. But that's not the target of these guidelines. The first, previous ones are the main target in the Sports Club for Health guidelines. Sport club can be also seen a good place where informally you can discuss health issues. We, for example, in Finland, we studied why men like to play ice hockey. They're not competing, but they're taking part in the practices. And 2 main, building up, of course, or exercising was one, but exactly the same level was the social connections, seeing their friends. That was very important for them. So it's kind of, it was the time they want to go there half an hour before the practice. They want to talk with their friends, and it's normally around sports and what's going on in their lives. So that's a good place, a sport club, especially with team sports, to build up this kind of role. These sport clubs give actually, the Sports Club for Health guidelines give actually the guidelines are for clubs to build up a specific program from their sports activities. But it can also be used in a different way if they already are doing something, that they can bring up the quality and build up the quality of those activities according to the guidelines. These guidelines are especially for local level actors, grassroots level sport clubs. But because it's evidence-based, we know that, for example, the booklet which I have here, and you can take a copy of it, if we deliver this booklet to the sport club people, they will say never. So it's not about communicating these guidelines in a real good manner. It's about campaigning. This is good what you're doing, and the way, how can you do it a bit more better way. But for example, in Finland, we are translating now the booklet into Finnish, and then we will build up a campaign so that they don't have to immediately read the book. It's not the thing what's helping the clubs at the moment in the first phase. The guidelines are also, and I hope that you will take this message to your countries, that it's to the national and international associations and federations. We will not contact, or we cannot contact the grassroots sport clubs unless in the country some kind of association or federation is keen on these issues and starts to build up a campaign or a program in that country. The guidelines are also meant for all other stakeholders. This can be, this is kind of like the backbone. Why sports could be a good partner for health sector. It has very basic information why sports is good for your health. So I hope you can use it also in that way. Now to the guidelines. I'm not going to go through these because it's you can all read them from the book or from the internet. But there are 10 guidelines for local level clubs. Planning, implementing, and documenting and communicating. Those are the phases. The 5 guidelines you see here, they are for the planning phase. And one of those, especially, is that the quality of the Sports Club for Health program has to be ensured. That means that the instructor is educated, that the sports facilities are okay, and all those issues that you normally tackle when you have a quality criteria program or some kind of certificate. That's one part of the guidelines. But it starts from the first guideline, which is that if you don't have the support, if the people inside the club are not interested, then it might not be worth starting a program. You have to have the backbone so that everybody's enthusiastic and then start to build up the activities after that. The second phase is implementing. Of course, the program is running and you have to do the marketing internally and externally. But you also have to start finding the documents, how you see how the program is running. And that's one of the things we want to bring with the guidelines, is that it's a program that you start planning, you implement, and you evaluate. And then you see what went wrong, what can we do better the next time. And this is, I hope you probably all know also, I'm a very active person in a sports club. And the third phase, the evaluating part, normally does not exist. But we would like these guidelines to bring some kind of systematic evaluation also to the sport club level. It doesn't have to be anything big, but it has to be that you start already here in the implementation phase to document what are you doing, is everything working from the beginning on, and so on. The third stage is, as I said, documenting and evaluating and communicating. This is the biggest part where we made changes after the first guidelines. In the first guidelines, the evaluation part was so big that it would have needed a research team in a sport club. So we wanted to bring this closer to the grassroots level. So it actually means that you have to see what you did, how was it, did it succeed, and then you communicate and share it within and outside the club. But in the Sports Club for Health booklet, there are many, many options how to evaluate the program better if you want to do it. But this is just the basic guideline for that. The whole Sports Club for Health program during the EU funding time was realized through 7 packages, work packages. And from those work packages, we then brought the information to the guidelines, which were then created after the first initial guidelines. So it was kind of a complex mixture of different ideas and issues that then started to become real through those 10 guidelines. But in the booklet, there are from all the work packages, there are specific information if you want to have more information. And I would like to thank, I don't know if Herbert is in the room, but Herbert Hartman was very effective on the guidelines for quality. So we really had a very good big package about the quality management in the clubs, and that's now, it's not part of the booklet, but it's a specific work package which we will continue to work further. And as we said, we have two aims. We created the new guidelines, but we also started a very working, or I would say active network in the field of head-by sport clubs. And all of those 5 major actors in the European sport world are now part of the network. And we are open to everybody else also. Where are we heading? We have now completed the international phase. So we really need to disseminate the information and implement the guidelines into action. As I said, there's no Sports Club for Health program unless it starts to grow from the grassroots level. The guidelines and the Sports Club for Health program is open to everybody. Everybody can take those pieces and bits which suits their organization the best. It's very difficult to find the same kind of ideology for all the countries in Europe. There's nothing like that exists. Everybody has to make it their own. As I said, also the work package development continues. We have the experts who were really doing the work packages. If you want somebody to help you, then you can contact us for the experts. We also would like to see the Sports Club for Health guidelines work in the physical activity guidelines in the European level, as there's a specific role set to the third sector of the civic organizations. The material is now being translated into Finnish. It has already been translated into Polish and Croatian, and it's also being translated into Hebrew at the moment. And as I said, please feel free to translate it into your own languages if you feel like that. And we are starting to build up national programs then all the way towards the grassroots level. The European network will continue. The next meeting will be in Charolais, attached to the World Sport for All Games in July. So if anybody wants to attend that workshop, please join the group. It's open. And we would like to start thinking about how the national, international and national federations and sport federations can be part of this. And we would like also this to be a tool in the funding and the policy making issues. So I hope to see that further. But the last point is actually what was interesting in the previous session, that we need more evidence-based information all the time. And especially in the sports world, we normally live in a world that we say, okay, we kind of know it, but we don't have research. And this has been lifting up the head all the time. Okay, can you say that this is health promoting? And we need more research so that in the sports world we can also lift up the role of health enhancing physical activity and sports. Thank you for listening, and you can see also the web page and the link to the PDF from the booklet. There's a pile of the books here, so please take your copy when you are reading. Thank you.